What's up, guys? I just did episode 50 with Steven Feldman. I really enjoyed this one. We had a good time. We got a little buzzed, and we just talked about what he does and what he's doing in Lubbock. I learned a lot. Learned about the comedy world in Lubbock. Very surprised. And then we just talked about what he's doing and everything, man. It was really cool, and I enjoyed it. Thank you again, Steven Feldman, for coming on. I hope this opened up a new channel for a lot of for people to know about Lubbock comedy, and then for me to kind of be introduced to the Lubbock comedy world. By no means do I mean like being a comedian or anything, but I want comedians on my podcast, especially Lubbock comedians. You know how I feel about promoting Lubbock people, and I thank you all. Please support me, the Patreon, fnxvent.com. Use the code SNAKE. When right now comedy, like Lubbock comedy is not allowed. He said like when they get 100% capacity, then they will. So when that shit gets back to normal, which will probably be in a few months, go check him out, man. He said a lot of those shows are free. So what you got to lose? You go get buzzed, you go get a good laugh. So I hope you guys enjoy the podcast, and I hope you guys really learn something like I did, and you support like he said, like you support local art. So thank you guys, and I hope you enjoy the show. Episode 50. You are now listening to the Snake Pit. 3, 2, 1. We're back, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
It's been like I've said in previous episodes, I've just been doing it with my boys. So it's been familiar faces, and this is a new guest, a new person. I just met him.
What's up? Hey, guys. How's it going?
You want to introduce yourself, sir, man?
My name is Steven Feldman. I'm a comedian in Lubbock, Texas. I've been doing comedy for about 5 years. I also dabble in a couple of the other arts, painting, bartending, things like that.
Yeah, nice. That's man, I've been wanting to do, honestly, like a bartender. And then I saw, a comedian, so then I get, today I get to knock them both out, so.
Yeah, the interviews are fun for me. I like talking about what's going on in town and stuff.
That's exactly what I kind of did this for. I want to know what's going on in town and everybody.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, because of the pandemic stuff, we've got stand-up comedy is pretty limited right now. Most of the stuff I do is with a group called Laugh Hub City. They do shows all over town, but we don't have a comedy club in Lubbock.
Yeah.
So open mics twice a week, showcase shows, big comedy contests, stuff like that, all in bars around town.
Oh, so it switches. It's not like one place.
Oh, no. You have 2 open mics. Tuesday open mic is at Cafe J every week. Wednesday open mic is at the Lantern Tavern every week. We do a showcase show at Two Docks, the brewery.
Okay. When do y'all do that?
It's once a month.
Oh, okay.
And right now, obviously, everything is shut down, so we're not doing any of those until businesses open up to 100%.
Oh, that's what you have to wait for?
Well, that's what we're doing personally. There are some comedies, showcases that are happening around town, which I won't plug because I'm not involved in any of them.
It's okay.
But I still think it's a little too early for that. We're kind of, you got to share microphones with people and touch them and hold them to your face and stuff. So I'm cool with being a little bit more cautious on that regard. But we've got shows at World of Beer every month. We have the Lubbock Laugh Off. It's a huge comedy contest. There's always 350 people in the audience. It's hosted by the rock show, the FMX rock show.
Yeah, that's where I seen you. That's where I heard of you. Was their account on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, Wes Desmond, good buddy of mine.
Oh, he should come on.
Awesome DJ. Yeah, Wes is cool. He's a cool guy. I'm sure he'd be down.
Sweet.
It's funny when you sit with him, you can't interview him because that's what he does. He interviews people all the time. He's on the radio, so to get him in, he'll be interviewing you. And
hey, I'd like that. Fuck.
He really runs the conversation. He's a great guy, though. He's really funny. And you mentioned that the way you found me or heard of me.
Yeah, I heard of you.
I was just out at Best Buy. Wanted to go in, saw the signs, appointment only, went out to my car because I had my phone in the car still, and I was just going to pick up a pair of headphones. So I walk out to the car and I see they're letting people in. There's a line forming and they're letting a couple people in, but there's still a line forming. And as I walk back up there, this guy is just screaming at this young kid working out there.
Oh, I'm being
you know,
an
he's
ass.
got a mask on. He's hot. It's hot outside. He's got a water bottle in his hand, and he's working off of his little tablet that they have to do and stuff, and talking in a headpiece and stuff. And this guy's trying to take pictures of him with his phone and screaming at him. And I was like, this guy's being a real asshole.
So you went and...
So I pulled my phone out, you know, give him a little taste of his own medicine. And the only thing you hear is him saying, you got an 80-year-old man standing out here in the heat. We're going to report y'all. And I pulled my phone out. I said, I'm going to record this guy because he's being a dick. And that's when he looks at me. He says, "Oh, I'm being a dick?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, you're a Democrat."
Oh my God.
He called me a Democrat.
Oh,
and it was so
Jesus.
funny. Like, at the time, I had deleted all of my social media. I just deleted the apps. I wasn't looking at them every day because it's been stressful, man. Everybody's stressed out over all this shit that's going on. You know, the world, it seems like it's, especially in the States, it seems like everything's burning right now.
Fuck, that's, man, I can't be on.
I had to go back because I had to show the world this guy that said, it was the funniest response to, like, you know, I use profanity, which was not necessary, but like I said, tensions are high right now. And he was being mean to a kid, so I called him a dick, and he called me a Democrat. And I put that video up, and not even 2 hours later, Wes was calling me on the phone like, "Feldman, what's going on, man? Hey, give me some of the story." What, you know, fucking Wes's thing that he does. So I was quick to tell him everything that had happened, and he put it up on the FMX page, and I think within like the first 2 days, it was local, so it got like 8,000 views. But it's like,
I'd take 8,000 views.
Somebody, it just in like a day or two. Somebody knows that guy and saw him and was like, "Hey, look, this is what's going on."
Oh my goodness.
The funny thing about that is that I work at King Street Pub, the local fine dining restaurant, little mom and pop restaurant, really, really, really nice place, most beautiful restaurant in town. But somebody called up there and said, we know that he works there, and we're just not going to support your business anymore if you're going to employ people like that. And they were kind of like, all right, whatever, fuck you.
Yeah,
you know?
put them on your business, huh?
Yeah, which is great. I was really glad that they stuck up for me, you know, Sally Good and
Wow, so
David
like,
Majoris.
it got to that point that they were looking at where you work and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Well, and I have posted where I work on my Facebook page.
Oh.
My Facebook's not private or anything. So yeah, people were calling up to my restaurant.
And they were trying to get you canceled, huh?
Yeah, can't stop me.
Yeah, so that video he's talking about, I guess FMX, right? What are they?
Yeah, FMX is the local radio station.
Like ad popped up for that video, and it said Lubbock comedian. And I was like, oh shit. And I will shamefully admit I did not know much about any of those, like open mics and the comedians and all of that. And here I am talking about comedians almost every fucking episode, and I haven't had a local one, so this is really cool.
Oh, right on. I'm happy to be the first.
I'm interested to know about that live.
Cheers.
There you go, man. Thank you. I'm interested to know, like, you said you were in a group. Like, what's the group called?
The group is called Laugh Hub City. It started off as some college kids at Tech like 6-7 years ago. They started booking, I guess, just open mics and things like at Jake's Back Room, little bars like that around town, and little dusty back rooms and hookah lounges and stuff. And
You gotta start somewhere, huh?
well, and that's how they stumbled upon most of the comedians that are still involved now. Very few of us are college kids. We're just, you know, people that are out at bars. We started seeing these people pop up in little places, and we kind of have taken over. I would say at any given time in Lubbock, there's 30 working comedians.
Damn.
Yeah, and there's a pretty good group of us. There's some really good comedians. There's some really bad ones. But that's what you get when you go to an open mic. It's just, you know, people of all different levels. I've been doing comedy for 5 years.
So, like, I fucking don't know, I'll be honest. Like, an open mic is you just go and sign up and they give you a time, or
yeah, it's just like a music open mic. You go up, you sign up. If it's your first time, usually the host who will deal with the signups will explain to you, you know, that will give you a light. That means you have 1 minute. If the light starts flashing at you, that means you're done. If it's your first time, you'll probably get like 3 minutes. something
I bet
like
those
that.
3 minutes feel like a long time, though, don't they?
Well, I think the biggest problem that most comedians, especially like starting out first open mic, they think that they have 15 minutes of material.
And it's like 30 seconds.
Everybody thinks that they have their Netflix special ready to go in their back pocket. You know, oh, I love comedy. I love it. And then they'll get up there and they'll tell one long-winded story with no punchlines, and no one will laugh at it. And then they get so discouraged. And that's why I think it's good. It's harder to be funny in 3 minutes than it is to be funny for 45 minutes, you know, because you can kind of change gears and shift and read the audience.
Yeah, read the crowd and react right.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but I think everybody who is interested in stand-up comedy should definitely try it. Obviously, you show an interest in it. You should at least be at the shows.
Yes, that's changing now. I'm gonna be at the show supporting you guys because I love it. I'm not funny and I don't even want to try, but I fucking love laughing. I just love to laugh at anything. Yeah. So,
good, man.
Israel Reyna, if you're listening, he said he wants to be a stand-up comedian. We're gonna get you on, brother.
Yeah, just follow Laugh Hub City on Facebook. We have an Instagram. We have a Twitter. I don't know what other social media we're running right now, but we definitely have those 3 running. And you'll see lots of comedians posting on those pages. And follow those people too. Caleb Davis, Aaron Durbin, Selena Martinez, Chris Rodriguez. All those people are hardworking. We travel. Some of us go around and do different mics in different cities, different showcases. Wherever we can get invited, we're trying to go. So it's a lot of fun.
Now, do you like stay in a group, or would you just go individually sometimes?
Both. It just depends. I mean, sometimes we get booked for a show and they're like, "Hey, we need somebody to fill up an hour and a half," and it's like, "Okay, you, and you." Let's go.
Who calls those shots? You?
Well, there's a group of us. I just named several of those people. You know, that there's like 5 people that kind of run the business side of what we do, as far as booking the shows, negotiating.
I'm always interested in the business side of things.
Yeah, and it's I mean, we're kind of all stuck right now because we have to deal with how do we get back into doing shows, how do we get to where we can do it safely and not put any of our people at risk, as well as the audience members. You know, we want the audience to be full. It's hard to perform in front of a room full of 6 people. It's not that I've never done it, and not that I'll never do it again, but you know, if the capacity of the room is smaller, it makes it more difficult. And you know, we already have to deal with the fact that we have a local draw and lots of people have never heard of us.
Yep.
So we have a lot of stumble upon people at these bars who will show up and they're just ready to drink with their friends. They were just
there to drink and then they hear you.
Well, and then, you know, you have the problem with people being loud and wanting to participate and not really understanding how stand-up comedy works as a performance art. And it can be frustrating at times, but that's why we want to make sure that when we come back full force and people aren't they don't know what to expect. I want people to know exactly what to expect when they show up. You know what I'm saying?
None of y'all are like full-time comedians? Y'all had other jobs?
I would say, yeah, most people that are working at the level that I work at are having to work a job. Like I said, there's no comedy club here. It's just really not the place for professional comedy, but it is a great place to grow, where it's a very competitive market because we're competing for time, but also we have a lot more than you would in a city where they're doing 2 open mics a night 7 days a week, or 3 open mics a night 7 days a week. Some of those comedians like in Austin and San Antonio and Dallas and Houston, where they're working really, really hard, don't have the luxury that we have of, only 10 comics showed up and we have to fill up all of this time, so everybody gets a little extra couple minutes today. It really gives you an opportunity to flex your comedy muscles and work your material out, some of your longer stuff and things like that, you know. So
it is practice for when you go to like.
Well, absolutely. And I think it's pretty obvious too if you go and work a mic in like any of those cities in Texas that I was just mentioning. You'll see that there are people who are like, you know, they're getting started out and they just don't really seem to know what they're doing. And some of our guys, they pick up on it pretty quick because of the fact that they have so much time to kind of work the craft, you know. You go to an open mic in a larger city, they might be like, all right, yeah, you get 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever. Whereas people that have been coming out for a couple months here can get up and do 6 or 7.
Nice.
Which is a lot more fun.
It's a little bit of an advantage for you guys. So your first one, do you remember it?
Absolutely, I remember it. It was at a place called Study Breaks Hookah Lounge.
Here?
Yes, okay. Study Breaks Hookah Lounge. It's over off of like 34th and Slide, kind of tucked away behind that pharmacy. And it was like a college kid-owned hookah lounge / coffee shop to study in. But it was in an old like hospice building where so like there was lots of ghosts basically. But the back room, we called it the litter box because the back room had been cleared out and they had pulled up all the carpet, but there had been cats living in there. So it always kind of had this lingering smell of like cat piss and shit.
Oh damn.
But I remember doing my very first set and they were like, okay, yeah. And I think it was like 3 minutes. They were like, you got 3 minutes. And I went up there and I had all my jokes written out and I had performed them in front of my parents earlier in the day. And it was like, these are the jokes I'm going to tell. And they laughed. So it's like, all right, I got this. And I went up and I did my first set and I killed it. Great laughs. I remember people laughing and me just being up there smiling, like being so giddy. And I was like, yes, my dreams are all coming true. And I went back the next week and I think I got in like 3 or 4 minutes the next week, the following Friday, and bombed so bad. Same room, same crowd, different jokes. Just the worst bomb I've ever had in my life. So it was weird to go from like the highest, the peak
right
of
off the back,
how you think you're gonna feel when you're a successful comedian to being like how every other comedian has ever felt for most of their career. I'm sure it's just like, oh, this is terrible.
So were you like listening to other comedians and pulling from them? So you know what I mean, like to prepare for your first set?
I used to listen to. Or did you just
think what was good?
I used to study comedy like I was going to college for it. Like I was like, this is my major. I'm studying comedy. And at one point I was working in San Antonio as an electrician, and I would just have one earbud in and I would just listen to like Pandora Radio comedy stuff. Like I don't know if that's showing my age or not, maybe. But I was just listening to comedy for like hours on end, like for 8 hours. And it was like, yeah, I didn't realize what I was doing at the time was not necessarily pulling from other comedians' acts, but I was learning about timing, joke structure, where to deliver punchlines, and all the time too was writing my own material. Like I would be in the car sometimes and my roommate, who was my cousin at the time, I'd be riding down the street and I'd be like, hey, write this down real quick. Like if I ever got a tapeworm, I would drink a ton of scotch and then I would have a scotch tapeworm. And he would just like, you're retarded, and just write it down. Like, that's the dumbest joke ever. But like, that was the writing process for me back then. Nice. It still is now, but it's just, it's hopefully gotten a little better than that kind of dumb stuff. But
yeah, I can feel that because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I think I subconsciously just like get an idea of how I want to do mine from listening to everyone's, how they set it up or what do they talk about. Like, so I could feel that, man. Fucking comedy, man. That's crazy. Like I said, I'm gonna do my part and start showing up and start supporting. That's fucking amazing,
and that's,
man.
I mean, that's all we really want. It's just, for people to come out and laugh. Not a lot of people are making money off of it. Like, I very rarely do a show locally where we charge at the door. Most of the shows are free shows. We have that negotiated through the businesses, so it's really for the people.
Ladies and gentlemen,
come in, spend some money, buy some beer, buy some food or whatever.
Who doesn't enjoy food and beer and laughs, right?
Yeah, man.
So there you go.
Beats the heck out of paying $10 for a band that you've never heard of before, just to walk in the door and be like, $10 cover. Give me money before you know what you're going to experience. Like,
there you go, people.
If you don't like comedy, you can always get up and walk the fuck out, and we'll be fine without you.
Yeah, I never understood, like, from an outsider's perspective of them, like, going to a show and hearing shit that they don't agree with and like heckling them and like talking shit. Like, why are you there if you don't want to if you're not enjoying yourself, you know?
It's a huge part of it. I mean, it really is. And I don't have any problem with people getting up and walking out, or it's just do it quietly, And I think that I've been more prepared to deal with hecklers living in Lubbock, because of the fact that we don't have people who know how it works. And so I've been dealing with hecklers since the very, very beginning of my career as a comedian. I think it was like my third or fourth time. We call him Pizza Guy. Pizza Guy. I don't think I've ever told the Pizza Guy story on a podcast. Like I said, third or fourth time doing comedy, and
give you one of your cold ones.
oh, this will work just fine. Thank you, sir. Third or fourth time doing comedy, and this guy walks in. He's like, "I got a pizza for Kyle. Pizza for Kyle." And we're like, everybody just looks at him like, "Nope." No, nobody said anything. So he walks back out, and again, we're in the little dusty back room of this hookah lounge, right?
Okay, yeah.
It's like a BYOB place too, so it smells like cigarettes and weed, and everybody's drunk, drinking shitty whiskey out of plastic bottles and stuff. And he leaves, and then he comes back. Like, he interrupted my set, and I didn't know how to deal with that at the time. Fledgling comedian, no idea how to deal with a heckler or talk shit to him or whatever. I just was shocked and stunned and froze up. And I tried to finish my set, but could never really recover, so I got off the stage, and the host comes back up, and that guy came back in, and he was like, "I got a pizza for Kyle." And they're like, "Hey, man, do you want to do a set?" And Pizza Guy walks up there, and he had a fucking 5-minute type 5 ready to go. He was like,
wow.
he started telling all these jokes, and very few relatable ones. I don't think he got any laughs.
Oh, okay.
But it was like,
say he was killing it.
That was his way of like, no, I mean, he didn't kill it at all. And I don't know how many times he came back, but he didn't kill it at all. And we were all just kind of like, oh shit, that was his way of introducing himself into the comedy scene, is he wanted to
so it was on purpose?
come fake deliver a pizza. And that guy came back a few times, and I wish I could remember his real name.
I wish he would have been funny, because that would have been very...
That would have been, yeah, it would have made it for a much better story. But I do remember at one point him like coming into the show, and he's sitting right at the front. And every time somebody's telling a joke that he thinks he has a better punchline for, he would just drop it in. And he's sitting right at the front. So he got up, and before I even started my set, I think I just said something along the line of like, "I love this place." And he said, "Well, why don't you marry it?" So I just took the mic out of the stand, and I walked over, and I just sat down on the table right behind him, so that he was like behind me, and everyone else in the audience could see.
Oh, okay.
And just completely excluded him from the show. And I think after that, one of our comedians,
That's a good move right there.
like Dave Longren or Socorro Carrasco, one of the old heads, came out and talked to him and was like, basically like, "Hey man, you need to shut the fuck up or not come back." And he never really came back. So you got to deal with those issues. And it's like, you don't want to be mean to anybody, but also like, hey man, people are out here trying to share art with you. This is a craft that people sit at their desk and stress about, and none of us are healthy. None of the comedians I've ever met are perfectly sane. So,
that's what I've heard, man. That's what I've heard. So.
They're all over there stressing about their craft, and then you're up there, "Hey man, I'm funny too." Yeah, get the fuck out.
Wherever you are, Pizza Guy, we don't want to hear you no more. My bad, brother.
Yeah, fuck the Pizza Guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever told that story, but fuck that guy.
That would have been something else if he was...
Yeah, just like just the next Dave Chappelle shows up, and he's just like, he's just killing it with every fucking joke. So I delivered this pizza to these two girls, and they both showed up to the door in lingerie. It's like, oh, he's about to tell that story. Like, no, he didn't have that story.
What a fucking way it goes. You were, again, I wanted to also... I've always wanted to talk to a bartender. And you were that too. So.
Oh yeah.
Aside from the COVID shit, but you guys are back, right?
We're back at 50% capacity. We've moved some tables around, and it's weird because
my bad.
Oh, absolutely. My
Thanks.
bar doesn't have all of its seats anymore, so there's like sections of seats where people can sit, so that parties can sit 6 feet apart or whatever. But I have a very interesting bartending job, because it's not a speed bar. It's not like you go out to the bars near the college and have to wait 45 minutes to get a drink or anything like that. I work in a fine dining restaurant where I make a lot of classic cocktails. Your old fashions, Manhattans, martinis, things like that.
I wish I knew what a Manhattan was. You want to explain it?
The Manhattan, yeah. It's... bourbon, sweet vermouth, and bitters. It's stirred and strained into a martini glass. I serve mine with a with a cherry, Luxardo cherry as a garnish. It's a classic cocktail. It's a 2-1-2 ratio. It's really pretty popular. The same with the old fashioned. I mean, those kind of cocktails are really big right now.
How long have you been bartending?
4 years or so. I don't know. Less than a decade, but 4 or 5 years. And I've done different bar gigs that are not quite this, but this is my favorite one because I get to do what people call mixology. I get to do like nice. I get to make some cocktails out of different stuff.
I almost bought one of those sets. A few months ago.
Well, it's nice to just have everything at your disposal, all these nice liquors and things, and people will come in and they say, hey, just make me something, surprise me. And I'm like, oh yes, I will surprise you with a fancy cocktail. And there's a couple of bars like that in town, and I like just getting around with those bartenders and talking that shop of like, what are you doing as far as like flair or signature cocktails that aren't on the menu and things that are like your deal. And we bounce ideas off of each other, and it's a pretty cool community of people that we don't have to deal with the riffraff of a bunch of drunk college kids.
I thought that's what you were gonna have, stories like that. I was gonna ask you, like, what's it like dealing with those idiots? But never mind.
Well, make no mistake, there still are those idiots. But the group of people that come into my restaurant, all of our patrons are usually pretty well off. They're coming in and they're eating $40 steaks, $50 steak.
And are they regulars, pretty much?
I have a lot of regulars, yeah. Doctors, lawyers, everybody that drives a nicer car than I can afford with what they're tipping me. But it's a cool gig, and I don't ever have to yell. I don't ever have to say, hey, what do you want? I don't have any of that.
I thought you were going to have some of those stories.
No, see, and I do from, I used to work at a tap house, and I remember those days of drunk people coming in and killing like 15 beers and then having to stumble out and puking on the front, right in the walkway by the door. And you'll always have those people, but the good stories come from the people who are, chill and just...
my girl asked me about this. I was going to ask you... absinthe. What is that? Do you know much about
absinthe? It is a real strong liquor.
Does it make you hallucinate?
I've never hallucinated off of absinthe.
Oh, you've had it?
The thing with that is absinthe used to be made with like wormwood, which is like, it's like straight up like poison. It would make you, I guess it would make you hallucinate if you drank the real stuff. The stuff in the States, you're not allowed to make that way, so it's still technically absinthe, but it's not quite as...
Okay, because I thought it was banned here, but no, that part's banned.
But they can't make it with wormwood, so... It's
is it green still?
Yeah, it's usually got a green shade to it. The way you serve it is you usually put like a fork with a sugar cube on it, and you'll pour the liquor over the sugar cube to sweeten it, and then you'll shoot it. I prefer to just put it into a cocktail. Just a little bit of absinthe goes a long way. It's got a good flavor to it, and it's really, really strong. So if you're gonna mix it up with a few things, that's probably the better way to go. Never hallucinated off of it. Definitely thrown up from it a couple of times. Because like I said, it's real strong.
I've never even seen it in person. Is it at your bar?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, come through. I'll give you some.
We're gonna have to go over there and get a little drunk off that shit.
Yeah,
we'll Uber there. We're not gonna drive.
Absolutely not.
So.
But yeah, we take care of you at my bar. I have a regular that came in the other day. He was in last night and the night before, and the night before last, I guess he hadn't had dinner. Big guy, big dude, always pounds whiskeys and never even bats an eye. But 2 nights ago, he got a little too drunk, and I knew he was drunk because he asked me if he'd paid his tab. 2 times after he paid his tab. And I was like, hey man, here's what we're gonna do. Hang out, we're about to close up shop. I'm gonna drive you in your car, and the waitress is gonna follow me in her car, and we'll drop you off, and then she'll drive me back to my car. So we do have that kind of...
You take care of your customers, huh?
Well, it's a little, I mean, it's different because it is a smaller, I think the maximum capacity of our restaurant with all the chairs is like less than 150 people. Our actual capacity is way larger than that. Like we could do standing room, but if we have 150 people in there, it's buzzing. It's packed. So it's nice to have like a a more intimate setting, and that's really what it's for. It's fine dining. You come in and have a nice candlelit dinner, and it's
Nice.
quiet. That's the big thing in Lubbock too, is there's no quiet restaurants here, so you can come in and actually have a conversation at a normal volume. You don't have to worry about people screaming, hollering.
I'm learning new things today. That's crazy. I mean, I figured places like that existed. I just didn't know.
Yeah. Well, and I like it. It's just another way for me to kind of be creative and do things that I like to do.
Keep the brain moving.
Yeah. I also do like a little bit of painting and stuff too. I just recently painted a mural over at Savage Tavern.
Oh, okay.
They hit me up. They said they had a guy out there who they'd hired him. He had worked for like 2 days and he just wasn't really getting it done fast enough. So I went out there and met the guy. They said, you have these 2 sections of the wall. There's 4 sections on this huge wall that's probably like 40 feet by 10 feet. Huge thing. And he didn't have much going. But they said, yeah, he came in today and he like slept for 3 hours. He laid down and just fell asleep for like 3 hours. Whoa. And then he woke up and started painting. And I was like, okay, so they're paying this guy. So I went and got to work. And about 20 minutes in, he's coming over to me saying, it's good to have a rival, man. It's like, oh, brother, I'm not your rival. I'm just, you paint your side, I'll paint my, we're doing this together. And he was like, no, that's what I want, is a rival. And he's all crazy eyed, right? And God, I wish I could remember his name. Devin. Shout out to Devin.
Shout out Devin, brother.
I'm glad you got out of jail, brother. But I jumped ahead.
Oh, what is this?
This man apparently had the better portion of a bottle of vodka, and he was smoking weed. He offered me some, and I was like, nah, I'm working later, whatever. But he started talking shit. He said something to me along the lines of, you don't know who the fuck I am. And I said, you don't know who the fuck I am either. I put my fingers in his chest. I said, you need to back the fuck up.
He got serious.
And the owner of the bar is standing there. He's like, is everything all right? And I was like, no, we're good. He's going to go work on his art, and I'm going to work on mine, and he's going to stay over there, and everything's fine. And when he heard me say that, he had kind of stumbled back towards the owner of the bar, and he heard that, and he stumbled back towards me. What we had done is we had taken these picnic tables that they have out on their patio, and we'd flipped one over on top of the other so we could make room for us to paint the wall. And he started stumbling back towards me, and he tripped over himself, and he hit his head right on the bridge of his nose on that table. Bam! And knocked himself out cold. Easiest fight I've ever been in, by far. I won without ever touching the dude. And so we tried to get him up, and he was knocked out. And I was like, just leave him down there. Just let him lay there. And we went and got water and poured water on him, tried to wake him up. Hot as fuck. He probably hadn't eaten anything all day. All he did was drink vodka, smoke weed, and Lord knows what else. And so he couldn't tell us where to take him, where he lived. He was being real defensive and argumentative with the owner. And they were finally like, dude, if you don't do anything, we're going to call the cops. And he was like, fuck. And so they called the cops, and he got arrested.
So that's how he went to jail, huh?
Yeah, he was
He went to jail that night. For what?
R.I.P.
PI
Devin.
or something?
PI. Luckily, they didn't search through his stuff because he had a whole bunch of drugs in his bag, which I'm glad they didn't get him for that. But...
poor guy.
And also, you're out there working with spray paint and stuff, painting a mural. You get a little high off of that, I'm sure.
Yeah,
He'd been out there all day, so he was not in his right mind. I feel really bad for the guy.
How the hell did he get that job? Or they just
Facebook?
Is that how they found you?
No, I actually know the guy because we used to perform over at Savage Tavern we would alternate weeks. We would do a comedy open mic, and then we'd do like a comedy trivia night where we would write trivia questions, and it was like 5 rounds of like 5 questions. Real short trivia, but it was comedy trivia, so we would like roast people for having stupid answers and like take away points.
Man, I can't believe I have never participated in any of this. It's kind of fun.
Kind of a no-holds-barred thing. Well, and yeah, a lot of those things are kind of come and go, but we work really hard to make sure that they're still happening. I work hard to make sure that they're still going on, and we, just now it's like everything is dead. It's like it's so boring right now, but it'll come back, and I think a lot of people are going to be a lot more hard charging as far as trying to make sure that there's more art in the world, because I think a lot of comedians have done stuff like this where they're trying to do a podcast to stay busy, or
I was going to ask you that. What are you doing to keep that muscle strong or whatever?
At the beginning of the quarantine, I was seeing this girl, and Me and my ex had just broken up, so I was looking for a place to live, so I moved in with a girl who has 2 children, which it might have been a bad idea. We moved in a little early, so...
okay, so y'all were having a relationship.
Well, yeah, sort of. And I moved in with her and her 2 children, but I messed up because, like, I did way too much at the beginning to, like, make sure that... everything was like, I really wanted her to like me, so I was like, mowing the yard and like taking out the trash and like pretending to like her kids.
Okay.
No, I'm joking. But yeah, they've been great for comedy. They really have. Like the other day, we were doing laundry and she found a pair of socks from my ex-girlfriend and she was like, gross. She threw them at me. I was like, oh, you think it's gross that I have 2 socks from my ex-girlfriend when you still have 2 kids from your ex-husband?
There you go, woman. Goddamn. I bet she didn't like that, did she? No,
it's funny. We laugh. We laugh
so
a lot.
y'all are y'all still like something? Or you still live with her?
Yeah, no, that's where I live now, and we're very much roommates in the eyes of everybody involved because we did move in pretty quick together, so not rushing anything there. But that's just quarantine makes people crazy. She was like, yeah, I'll let a comedian move in with me and my children. Nothing bad can happen from that.
Kids getting a good laugh. Everybody's having a good time.
Honestly, I know no kids for myself, so it's been fun to like watch children and how they grow and develop.
How old are they?
They're little. They're 2 and 4.
Oh, fuck.
So yeah.
My girlfriend has a kid, dude.
Yeah. 4. Yeah. Well, and it's funny to me because I always thought, how every time a comedian has a kid, their comedy tanks, and it's like I get all of that stuff now, just in the few months that we've been living together. I'm like, oh, I totally get it. Like, yeah, kids are hilarious. So,
you know who Britt Kreischer is?
Yes, of course.
He always talks about his kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was thinking about. Like, what the fuck?
Well, and I have to toe a weird line with that because I can't really talk shit about those kids like I just did just now because I think it's funny, but I can't really say stuff about those kids because they're not my kids,
Yeah.
But that's also like a benefit of it. It's like, oh yeah, I'm here and I'm helping raise these kids, but if they're shitty, it's like not my fucking kids.
It's not a reflection on you, huh?
Yeah, so it's not so bad.
Excuse me.
Oh, cheers.
Nobody's I burp a lot on this podcast. I know. I think I need to stop. Fuck that. I don't know. But man, I'm glad you're giving me some insight on this.
Yeah, man, it's
fucking crazy. I did not. I'm ashamed actually because I'm like, I should know that, but I don't. But now I do. So.
I always tell people too, like everyone's always like, "There's nothing to do in Lubbock," and it's like there is, but you kind of have to dig for it. Like there's not a real underground in Lubbock. It's just like a slightly below the surface, where you just have to peel back the top layer of that red dirt, and then that's where all the fun is.
Hopefully this podcast will help a lot of other people go out to your shows and everything. So
yeah, I hope so, for sure. Yeah,
a little bit, even if it's just one person, right? One person's.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
And everybody, I mean, obviously you can find me on Facebook, just Steven Feldman, or you can follow me on Instagram at TheRealish Steven Feldman. I'm sure you'll leave links for that stuff on the video.
Yes, I will.
And yeah, man, but more importantly, just find local art in your town, man. That's what I'm all about. It's like, go out to the nice restaurants and see who's cooking, and go out and find your bartender, find your painter, your ballet dancer.
All those people, if you want to be on the podcast, please.
Yeah, and find those people, interview them, please, for the love of God.
Yeah, I'm trying to, man. I really am.
I think there's about to be a huge influx of dancers in this town because of the big Buddy Holly center that they're building out there. I think that's going to be great. That's one thing I've always really wanted to do, is go to an opera or a ballet, and we don't offer that here, but we're about to, so Lubbock art's booming right now, and it's good to be in on the ground floor.
It really is. Like you said, you just gotta, I think you kind of have to know some people, or just ask around, but
just ask a question or two.
There's some very talented people in Lubbock.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just, I hate when people say that, like, there's nothing to do here and Lubbock's boring.
It's like, well, stop going to the same bar every night. Yeah. Yeah. Stop going to your
switch it up a little
2 or 3 bars that you go to, and Get out of your comfort zone a little bit. But yeah, I think everybody has to do that anywhere you live. We're kind of lucky in the place where we're at because we have all of the fun of the same, like, as the big cities. We have all of the cool bars and all the fun places to go hang out, but we don't have any fucking traffic. So it's
That's a blessing.
Way less stressful.
I think it's funny when people like, because I have family in from Post, small town.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how many people, like 2,000. They come to Lubbock and like, I hate the traffic here. Like, what traffic? What are you talking about? What fucking traffic are you talking about?
The traffic, yeah.
That's what they say. I'm like,
to get here, I illegally lane changed across 3 lanes to get to turn onto your street. Like, yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
Get
traffic.
the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But you also mentioned you did what was it called? You did podcasts and you've been on other podcasts?
Yeah, I used to do a podcast. I won't plug my old podcast, but I will tell you about some that are
From Lubbock?
here in Lubbock.
Please, because I don't even know about that either.
Yes. There's a podcast with Paul Y. Arias and Selena Martinez called the Vanilla Beaners Podcast. It's great. They're 2 local comedians who are just running things. They're running interviews, and they even worked all the way through the pandemic and the quarantine and have just been steadily working and finding ways to do interviews with people from all over. And they're both hilarious comedians. Definitely should check out Selena Martinez and Paul Y. Arias and the Vanilla Beaners Podcast.
What a name.
Oh, yeah. They're both pretty vanilla. They liked having me on, the half white, half Mexican guy. I fit in perfectly. It was great. Find my episode. I'm sure it's funny.
Okay, that makes sense. The Vanilla Beaner. And there you go. But you go on theirs? And you do
yeah. I've been on their podcast one time, and they have some other local comedians that help them do like production and stuff. I don't know what he's going by now. I just know him as Dizzy Lard Pants. I don't know what his legal name is right now because he's got an alias for a reason, I'm sure. But he helps with the production, and it's just, I mean, it's our community of comedians is very welcoming. It's one of the coolest scenes of any of the scenes in the surrounding area because, you know, even comedians from Amarillo or Odessa and Midland, Amarillo, wherever, they come in and they do shows with us, and it's just like, you're part of the family. Like, come on, you know, everybody gets their time and everybody hangs out afterward and talks shop. And again, anybody who's interested in doing comedy, come out to Laugh Up City events.
To talk to you, bro.
Yeah, man. Just have them send me a message or whatever. Yeah, it's always a good time.
Yeah, so what was I gonna say? Fuck. How do they set up their podcast? I mean, I want to talk to I want to do other people who do podcasts come on mine because I'm interested. I always want to improve and learn. Well, so are they on YouTube?
I don't know if they're on YouTube actually.
Or video.
Again, I don't listen to podcasts. I'll never hear this interview again. But I don't listen to podcasts, and I don't know why. I love them. I love being on them. But to me, this is like, we could have just had this conversation at the bar.
That's what I want, man. I just want just to be recorded though.
And now it's on the internet forever. So hopefully I didn't say anything
other than about the kids.
Too dangerous. Oh yeah. Well, I love those kids. They're great kids.
Shout out
those
to
are
them.
just jokes, you guys. These are jokes. I'm a comedian. But yeah, I don't know. Setups, man, are all different. I love going to see how people record and do their work, because you go in sometimes and they've got they've all got their headsets on and they've got their computer set up, and there's a guy there and he's like, okay, 3, 2, 1, and he pushes a button and they have like a little sound bit and they do their big intro, just like you did with your little
thing. That's my intro.
Yeah, but everybody's got one, and it's I don't know, it's just fun. I'm glad that people are out and so able to make content. We live in a society where content is just everywhere, and it's like, just keep pushing it out. That's great, so
it's a little intimidating, to be honest. Like, how do you make yours stand out when everybody's doing it?
I would think just stay true to what you're doing. Your fans are going to stay your fans as long as you're doing it. So just keep doing what you're doing, man. Even if you'll hopefully one day I'll come back on your podcast and we won't be in the garage sweating in the middle of summer.
Yeah, my bad about the heat, man.
It's not your bad about no. That's just how it is. It's hot outside. Like
yeah, but we're supposed to get AC here pretty soon.
Yeah, man. That's how it is.
But I think that'll be that's the goal. I hope I like in the future I can have other people who've been on. And then I'm like in my own studio, and they're like, "Oh shit! I remember when you were doing it in the fucking garage or your phone."
Oh yeah, things like with like once you add headphones to the mix, you're like, "Oh my god, I can hear everything." Like turn him the fuck down or whatever.
I could do that, but I don't want to wear headphones. I don't like that.
Shout out to Joe Cash the Entertainer. Turn his mic down.
Fucking yeah,
Local
I don't know.
comedians, man.
Even if I had that, I mean, I could, like I said, but I fucking hate wearing those headphones. And maybe one day I'll have like
just an in-ear for you since you got the hat on.
The cowboy hat.
You could do some in-ear work. That'd be cool.
Yeah, and then we're gonna switch it. I'm working on it, and I might have videos to watch. But I really do try to challenge myself when I do these to see if I can, because an hour of talking, an hour, I mean, just 10, 15 minutes of talking is a fucking hard thing to do.
Absolutely.
So having a conversation for an hour in itself is almost a challenge.
Absolutely, and I feel like gotten to the point now where it's getting easier for me. Especially in like the stand-up world is what I'm talking about specifically. Like I got booked to do a half hour.
Is that what you're doing?
I ran 42 minutes, and it was a breeze. And I kept the crowd the whole time. It's like, oh, it's the first time I've done like a really long set that was successful. Not the first time I've done a long one, but the first time that it was like, oh yeah, I rocked that show and got off stage after I was supposed to do half hour and no one was timing me. I just stepped off the stage after I told my last joke and went and checked the timer and it was like, oh hey, almost ran 45 minutes. Probably could have done an extra 20 and just capped it off at an hour, but
yeah. See, you know that 45 minutes. That's a long time to talk.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how long. I mean, we've probably been talking for about 45 minutes now.
About 45. I've been looking at. I got my little clock right there.
Oh yeah.
So I can know how long we got. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah, I try to keep it. I keep it tight at an hour.
Yeah.
And then I'm a little rusty, if we're being honest, because I have had repeated guests on, and it's been just us bullshitting. And now I'm actually trying to get information out of you and what I want to know about the comedy world. Love it, comedy world. It's been fun.
Yeah, man.
And I'm just trying to get better at like talking and keeping a conversation and flowing. Because I didn't write nothing down because my girlfriend was like, "What are you going to talk about?" I don't know. We'll just go as it goes. I wanted to know the 3 things, and I already know what I need to know. So
yeah.
So I'm just riffing it and going, man.
When I first started doing a podcast, I remember like looking up like the rules of an interview and things like that, and there's this one that's like you have to do your research on your guest, and I hated that. I was like, I'm not gonna look up some local guy. So what I would do is we would shoot 2 segments. So I would shoot it like we'd do like a 15 to 30 minute segment that we call the pre-show, where I would ask all of those interview questions and have them give me short, direct answers, but not actually delve into the issue, so that I could jump back in and be like, so I know that you have done this and this and this, and that it makes it seem very fluid. And so that's like a sneaky way of like interviewing people. But also you get them loosened up with a couple of beers too. And it's like, we're just gonna talk for a minute so I can get to know you, so you feel comfortable.
Being honest, so
yeah. Which we had already done, which I guess I was sneaky interviewing you too, kind of while we were sitting here while you're setting up. But
yeah, I'm glad you did, to be honest. So we got it's I don't know, because I'm always like, you can't look up. You can look up a little bit, like for you, like I could probably watch what you post and like, but you can't really look up local people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta really be like a journalist about it.
I looked at your Instagram, I was like, okay, he's a bartender and he's a comedian, and we'll go from there. So we'll just see what happens. And those are 2 things. And
all I knew about you was that you had a podcast called The Snake Pit, and I get here and there's no snakes at all.
My snake's in the room.
Okay. He's
usually on the table, but I fucking fucked up. I didn't get set up right, so my bad. That's my fault.
You usually have a snake on this table?
Yeah, I have a stuffed animal. It's a snake.
Oh.
A rattlesnake. Oh, no, not a real snake. No.
I was like, damn, that's a cool podcast. You should definitely, you've got something there.
Next time he's on, we're going to do it.
Real snakes.
We're going to have a real snake.
Real snake.
Real fucking
yeah.
No, just one. I can only handle one.
Just get like a little kiddie pool to put, and so it's just like in here, just hanging out with us.
If we're being honest, I don't really fuck with snakes.
Really?
But we're going to do it when he comes on again.
What's the deal with it? Is it the eyes? I got
bit by one because my friend had a little ball pit python, I think that's what it's called, little snake, one of those ones you can keep in a cage, and he told me to feed it, and it bit me.
Yep, that'll do it.
And I said, and then I'm rattlesnake Roy. Obviously, I don't fuck with rattlesnakes because them motherfuckers will kill you. So
yeah, you can't really fuck with rattlesnakes. That's true.
I've ate rattlesnake, so you try it. It's pretty good.
We came by. We were riding our bikes the other day, and we were riding past this park that it's in an underdeveloped area over on the south side of town where it's just like a big playa lake, and it's not really a full-on. They haven't done everything for it yet, but I saw this snake skin. I said, hey, yo, turn around. So we turned around on our bikes and came back, and this snake skin is sitting out of this hole, and we pull it out. And at first when I pulled it, I broke off about 8 inches of the tail that was dried. So I went and pulled it from the front, and it was still wet. Like I might have pulled it off of that snake. Oh shit! I might have helped him finish shedding it.
It's probably rattlesnake.
No, it wasn't.
Was it not?
Was oh gosh, she looked it up too.
Bull snake.
The bull snake. It was a bull snake. But I held it up next to the girl, and she's 5'11", and it had her by about 4 inches still. And I had broken off like a good 8 inches of it. So it was like at least 7 foot long.
Those things get big, man.
But it was out there eating those prairie dogs, guaranteed. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm glad we live further into the neighborhood. Like,
so you're on the south side of Lubbock?
Yeah, I live southwest Lubbock over there. But yeah, not where the snakes are. Oh, God. No, we're in a neighborhood.
Yeah, we work out there. I don't mean to get into that, but like it's sad to me because I see like, you see residential and it's meeting right there with... Like, like there's plots of land where there's still prairie dogs and a little bit of...
they're not going anywhere. They'll always be around. They'll just keep getting pushed further out.
It just sucks, like, when you think about, like, if they have to take them out, then they gotta...
Yeah.
I see owls. I've seen some owls.
The little ground owls are cool.
I like those. I didn't think about snakes. I really didn't. Yeah. I just thought about that now. Like, that's a good fucking source of food for them.
Oh, yeah. They eat those prairie dogs and they get big.
7 foot? Oh, hell.
Yeah, it had to be at least 7 feet long.
Fuck that.
And, yeah... It's hard to say, too, because it was all dried up. So it might be even bigger.
Don't go hunting for it.
Yeah, no.
Don't do that.
I wouldn't mess with it.
Leave them out there.
I wouldn't mess with it at all.
Let them roam around free.
I'm a city boy, man. I like being in town. Big old 7 foot snake goes across my yard. I'm moving.
I like both. I like to try to be balanced. I like being here because this is like the center of Lubbock. Mm-hmm. So it's like around everything. And then I like being out. Like I said, I was from Post, and it's still very country and very much.
Well, when I grew up here, I remember everything south of like 98th Street being cotton fields.
There's nothing out there, right?
And everything even west of Frankfurt Avenue was cotton fields. And now you can drive all the way down and there's city meets Wolfforth. Like, Wolfforth is...
There's like literally a little plot of land that's still there. Right underneath the railroad tracks in Wolford, you know what I'm talking about, by the new Brahms? Mm-hmm. That's like the last part of nothing, and then it's...
Well, yeah, and it's still like all that stuff's getting eaten up by industry and housing, and it's crazy. Because, I remember, dirt devils and tumbleweeds right there by my house, and now... Really? Yeah.
Where'd you go to school?
Well, I graduated from Lubbock High, but I grew up on the south side of town, so I should have been Coronado District.
It's right there.
Yeah.
This is interesting because it's all like Coronado, Lubbock High, Monterey. It's all right here.
Yeah, it's close. Yeah.
Yeah. So I could have gone all three. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Was comedy on your radar when you were in high school?
Not at all. When I was a kid, we used to watch shows like Whose Line Is It Anyway? And we would do like Comedy Central Presents.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I remember my parents, like, when I was little, like, I was, like, playing with toys in my room, and my parents being like, you need to come out here and see this comedian. Come watch this comedian on TV with us. And it was Mitch Hedberg's Comedy Central Presents.
Oh, okay.
I write a bunch of one-liners. I like to work in short, choppy jokes that are punny, and I do lots of puns and one-liners. It's kind of my bread and butter. And that was all he did. So it was great for me. And I didn't realize that was what it was like, because I had no interest in doing any type of performance stuff until I was about 22, 23. I got in a band. Got to be in a punk rock band.
Oh, nice.
Where I got to play the microphone for the first time.
Your voice was heard.
And, well, more than that, I was in the front.
Center of attention.
I was holding a microphone and I was talking to people. And I'd always played the drums, so I was used to being kind of in the back. But I remember the guitar player of the band told me, can you hand me one of these, please?
Oh, yeah.
He told me, whatever you do, just don't stand still. He didn't know how I'd perform. So I plugged in a 30-foot mic cord. We were the opening act. And as soon as we started playing music, I just jumped into the crowd. And I know you know how Lubbock shows are sometimes when it's the opening act at like a rock show or like a metal show or a punk show or whatever. Like they'll build the pit, but they'll all just stand on that outside line and just hope that something will happen in that big circle. And the only thing that happened in that big circle was me.
Okay.
I jumped out there and I was like, let's go. Like, let's do this. And I did. I loved that attention. And it's so much easier to be a comedian than it is to be a musician, because in a band, not necessarily if you're a solo artist, absolutely, I'm sure that's a lot easier than it is being in a band, because you have to rely on so many other people to help you get the product out, whatever you've been working on. And there's so many disagreements, and there's, people have different views and what they want and trajectory. And when you're a comedian, the only person you rely on is yourself. So it's a lot simpler for me than it was to go back into music, to just grab a microphone and start talking into it.
Yeah, I feel that, because that's why I do this. Like, it's a me. Like, if this is how I want it.
Well, you play music. Do you play music?
I play guitar.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be in a band, but I'm talking about this podcast. Like, I'm not doing it with nobody else. It's just me.
Yeah.
This is how I want it. This is my setup. And I feel like, I guess you can comedy's like that, right? It's all you.
Well, and I can also relate on the sense of like the podcast. I didn't have any interest in doing a podcast, and my good friend Cheryl at the time decided that she wanted to spend like hundreds of dollars on equipment. She just dropped so much money on this equipment, and she was like, I need a co-host. And I was like, all right, whatever. I like performing. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And it kind of turned into more of, I was the host and she was the co-host.
Oh, okay.
And she did all of the production value stuff. She was like in there working the levels and putting this music in and doing all that stuff. And all that is beyond me. I'm not old enough to not know how to use computers, but I don't know how to use computers.
Me either. But I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
Well, yeah, you got to, I guess, if you want to do something like this. I don't have to. All I have to do is know how to hold a microphone in my hand.
Yeah, there you go.
And even that you don't have to do, because they can clip them onto your shirt or put them in your ears.
But you like holding it?
Oh, it doesn't matter to me.
Oh, it doesn't?
Just like talking.
I feel like I would just, to me that's like, or on a stand. I'd rather have on a stand.
I do, when I have a mic stand, if a mic is set up in a stand, I lean pretty heavy on it. Like, I use a mic stand.
So when I'm going to go check you out. So when you're performing, well, I can't yet. Never mind. You do move around? You like, did you take that with you? Like, don't move, or you...
Not really. No. Very little. Very little.
Do you feel that can be distracting?
On stage, I'm already pretty, like, I'm a soft-spoken person. But on stage, I actually tend to take it back even another level to be even more timid.
Oh, yeah?
Because some of the things I say are pretty risque. And if you have an obscene joke that's just an obscene joke, I found that people respond to it a little bit better when it's said by someone who's only been saying like really like nice things. So I do kind of like, I almost kind of jazz it up to make it a little bit more like I'm almost like I have stage fright, like I'm afraid to be there.
I can picture
and
it
then
right now.
and then when I say something that's like off color, they go, wait, what? Didn't expect it out of this guy. And that kind of left fielding people with stuff like that is fun for me, because that's not how I am in real life. And usually I find myself opening up to an audience more depending on their response. Like I can maintain that level of being, you know, shy and timid and soft-spoken while I'm on stage like this.
That's crazy.
But when people start to open up to me and, you know, talk to me or, you know, respond to me with laughter or clapping or whatever, then I'll start to loosen up a little bit, because it's kind of a way of gauging how they're gonna act.
Are you gonna make COVID jokes when you get back on?
I actually was talking to our little group of comedians that are in charge of the thing, and I was talking about how I probably won't come back even after we're at 100%.
You give it a little time.
I'm probably going to wait a month or two, because I don't want to hear everybody's take on being quarantined.
That's what it's going to be, right? Everybody's going to be...
The quarantine and the COVID and the murder bees and now all the race riots and
George Floyd and all that.
I don't want to hear about that stuff anymore. I've heard about it enough. So if I can book my own show with comedians that I know and trust, then I will, and I'll do shows like that. But I probably will avoid open mics and things like that for at least a couple months, because I kind of want people to filter that shit out and drop it, because the level of stress that's come with it, you know, of not knowing if you're gonna make any money, or, you know, I was furloughed from my job for a little while, and like, you know, that stuff's stressful.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
And now it's even worse, you know, the race stuff is really touchy.
What a year, huh?
And man, well, and honestly, there's so many comedians that they're like, you know, this is free speech, you're still allowed to make jokes about race and stuff, and it's like, I don't know how that's going to play when people come back.
I was interested in hearing your take, because that's like...
I don't know if that's going to play well with an audience, you know, if a white guy gets up there and cracks a couple jokes about race, or even if a black guy comes up there and cracks a couple of jokes about race, you know, it's... The tensions are so high right now that I feel like it's almost better to just lay back and observe and try not to push anyone's buttons right now, because everybody's so hot.
Yeah,
you know,
they're looking.
I saw that one of the cops that was working the Lubbock peaceful protest thing, he was out there working, and he called some people. What he didn't call them riffraff. He called them. Basically, he called these people trash. He said that they were East Side trash. And I know the guy.
Oh, no.
And I know the guy, and he's a super nice guy. He's always been a super cool cop. And he works at the movie theater on the south side of town as a security guy.
Tinseltown?
Yeah.
And
okay,
I think I know who you're talking about now.
I won't say his name, but
I know you're talking about. Come on. Oh, man, he was the one. I know exactly who you're talking about.
He got suspended, obviously, and they're probably going to fire him. They're going to make an example of him.
They should have.
And it sucks, because he said one thing that's going to make him lose his job, and he might actually be a really good guy that's good at his job.
Just fucked up once,
but he fucked up one time, and everybody's so hot.
I don't agree with that. Like, you fuck up once and your career's over.
But also, I mean, we hold these people to a higher standard, and that's also on the internet. So it's like, I understand why they would fire him.
No, they have to, I think.
They're gonna fire him.
Kind of have to.
But it's like, it sucks because...
Damn it, I know who that is now. I don't think, man...
Well, and it sucks because everybody's so tense that, in a moment of weakness, he fucked up and said something. He didn't do anything physical to anybody.
He didn't shoot nobody.
But he's going to lose his job over it. And it's like...
He was a good cop.
And I mean...
He was a good cop. Well, he is.
And I can't say that, you know, any cops are... you know, good cops or bad cops, because you have to know them on a personal level. But as a guy who I had met and talked to so many times, and he's always been super cool with everybody there. Anytime you've ever been there and he's working,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I know
he's a nice guy. And it's like, fuck that poor guy, that hardworking guy. But also, he was a motorcycle cop, so he's kind of a dick. Everybody knows motorcycle cops are dicks.
You should know that. They're all dicks. You get pulled over by them, you're going to get a ticket.
Yeah, man.
So... it's the way it is.
Huh.
So you're a little like you're just gonna let that kind of die out almost, or just ease up a little?
I don't know.
Still go into that territory?
I don't like to talk about that kind of stuff. Like, I'm not a political comedian. I'm really not. You know, that's probably the most political I've ever gotten in anything that's ever been recorded. Right there is that poor cop, man. He fucked up because he was a dummy. Like, you know, like that's my political stance. You know, is that cop was a dummy, and you know, that's just for saying something stupid on the internet. Like, I have opinions about people who kill other people, but that's not for me to share with y'all. Like, I don't want to talk about that stuff. That's
if you want to, you can.
No, I don't like to talk about that kind of stuff. You know, it's like some people, that's their whole world right now. You know, I see people who I think are some of the nicest people, but you get on their Facebook or Instagram and you're like, oh, wow, you suck right now. Like, you're not being cool. You gotta be a little smarter than that, you know? Well, it's also like, how many people are being directly affected by this, who are acting on it right now? What's going on in your immediate world that you can do to affect change? You can be nice to everybody that you come in contact with, but so many people are spending time, and we're not coming in contact with a lot of people right now. Very few people are in contact because of the problems that are going on with this virus or whatever. So spend some time just being nice to each other. It's not that hard to figure out. Ladies and gentlemen. You know, like, I don't know. That's from a local perspective, and I understand it's different in bigger cities where it's really, Lubbock really hasn't experienced much of that craziness. Yeah, yes, me. But it's like, if you feel the need to go participate, then absolutely go participate. I won't, because for months we've been saying don't gather in large groups, and I'm like, all these people who've been telling me to not gather in large groups all seem to want to go now and gather in a large group. So it's like, I'm going to stick with the first thing and then see how it plays out. Obviously, nobody's pro police brutality. I don't think I've ever met somebody who's like, oh yeah, I just love it when the cops fuck people up for no reason. Yeah. Like, you know. Yeah. You know, I've seen a couple of episodes of Cops where, which that got canceled now, but I've seen episodes of Cops where there's somebody being an asshole and a cop comes through and kicks him in the chest and puts him in handcuffs, and I'm like, good for you guys, you know, fuck that guy, he was being a dick. But you know what, they don't show the episodes of Cops where the cops fuck up. Yeah, you know, they only show the ones where the cops are the good guys. Oh, yeah. You know, if the suspect is being an asshole and then the cops fuck him up, you know, you can get on their side about it. But there's so much of that's behind the scenes that we don't see, and I like to believe that, you know, people who get into that job, that there are those that really want to do it and do it the right way. But I know there's that fucking kid that I was in high school with that nobody liked him and he was bullied his whole life, and they were finally like, you know what, here's a badge and a gun. And he was like, now he's got that badge heavy police persona where he lifts weights all the time and still has a little dick, but whatever, like, you know, hopefully weed him out, man. I think more training is necessary. Definitely. You know, the process of becoming someone who protects the community with a firearm needs to be a little bit more stringent. It needs to be a little bit harder to get that job, because they do have to be the best of the best. Yeah, because like right now, like a lot of people have been saying, like, it takes this many hours to get your fucking barber license, to be a barber, to be a nurse, physician, psychologist, and it only takes this amount to be a cop. Like, I think it should be more. But look at how long it takes to become a doctor. Someone who has everyone that they deal with life in their hands. No, a doctor spends forever coming. No, I'm saying like they have their they deal with like life or death matters. Yeah, you're responsible for a life or death situation, and as soon as you become a police officer, you're responsible for those life or death situations as well. Not just because of the fact that you have a firearm, but people hate cops. So people with guns will run up and try and kill cops all the time. So some training is necessary. Yeah, not just for society's sake, but for those people as well. You know, I don't think that the military should be running around in our, you know, everyday society. Because the kids that I saw go to the military when I was getting out of high school, I was like, oh shit, they're just gonna go give them guns and send them off on other countries and shit. Like, it really sucks when you think about that. Like, well, but you know, some impressionable people, and you know, people that can be trained and who will follow orders and things like that. But you know, the training for people that are here inside of our communities needs to be much larger.
It does.
It takes longer to get trained to be in the military than it does to be a police officer here at home. And we send those guys off to other countries. So it's like, come on, man, let's figure it out.
I do agree on that part.
Let's figure it out.
I do think even in our community, you see again, I don't know the facts, I don't know why, but you see cops driving really nice Mustangs, Mustang cars. Mm-hmm. You see them with dualies. Those cars aren't cheap. That money, you just give them a fucking Tahoe. Even Tahoes aren't cheap. That money could be going somewhere else. We got fucking shitty roads.
Well, but it's also
you can allocate that resource a little bit better. I don't think you should defund dismantle the police. What the fuck are you saying there?
Yeah, we need those people to
Some of that money is
important. Yeah. Well, also, it's funny to me that if you're rebelling against the police right now and you're defund the police, and you go to a rally or you go to a protest or whatever, the police still have to be there. So they're working overtime. So if anything, they're making more money by you protesting to defund them. So it's kind of a backwards ass situation that we're in. Well, everything is. I mean, look at where we're at right now. 2020's been a fucking shit show.
Hopefully it'll get better.
I know. I just want to start doing comedy again so we can get over this stuff.
We'll quit. Yeah, we'll leave on a good note. Comedy will come back, right? Eventually.
Yeah, comedy will come back, and hopefully there will be less police at the shows so we can all smoke some weed and everybody will laugh real hard. Or not get the jokes right away. Whatever.
There you go. I have one question for you.
What's that?
I want to know. What is art? That's my question. What is art?
What is art? Damn, that's such a serious question to ask at the end.
Yeah, I wanted to see what your answer was.
I don't know, man. People say it's subjective. I think if you are, if you're passionate about something and you are putting yourself into it and giving it to everybody else, then that's art. It's pretty simple.
There you go. You got any social media or anything?
I think I already plugged myself earlier, but yeah, you can follow me on the at the realish Steven Feldman on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook.
Any comedy videos or anything?
Go
YouTube?
To anything? No. But go follow Laugh Hub City on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter.
Check him out at his bar. And
yeah, come see me at King Street Pub.
So when everything gets going, we're gonna go see him, ladies and gentlemen. Rattlesnake Roy. Follow the Patreon, fnxfit.com.
This got weird. This took a weird turn.
At the end?
It did, didn't it?
And I'm sorry, yeah.
Fucking 2020, man. All right, I love you guys.
You guys have a good night. I gotta go piss. See you next time. Thank you for coming on. I really hope you guys enjoyed the show, man. It was fun, and it was quite the experience for me because I was a little rusty with interviewing people who I hadn't talked to ever. And I tried, and I think he said he enjoyed himself. Who knows? I hope he did. And I hope it just opens up opportunities for both of us. So be sure and follow him and go check out Love It Comedy, man. And I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. That's all I can say. I hope you guys enjoy me just shooting the shit with people, talking shit. If people I've had a lot of questions what are you talking about? What is your podcast about? It's really not about anything in particular other than me talking with people from Lubbock right now. So he's a comedian. He was a podcaster. He is a bartender, and he paints. He probably does a lot more shit. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. So thank you.